Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining me in my shop here. Today is September 8th. Another really cold, gray, wet, rainy. Ugh. You'd think the fall was here. I guess it is kind of here. I don't understand. When I was a kid, I remember September, a kid and a young adult. I remember September as being a hot month. But the last couple years, September has come, and it's like somebody's pulled a curtain. Everything changes, and wow, it's become like fall here. What a drag. So if you look, you'll see the cartridge is no longer in here. I came in here yesterday afternoon and fiddled around long enough to get the cartridge out of here, not knowing how to remove them from a bracket like this. Well, I know now. It's nothing complicated at all. I'll show you. Can you see the nut I'm turning there? So I'm turning it up. I turn that nut down and it'll clamp these pieces onto this bracket here, where you can see my finger. So it slides up in there, and you just somehow, it's pretty tough, you get a wrench in here and tighten this thing, and presto, that's what holds it. The reason I have it out is I thought, well, we're just going to have to hunt down a replacement. I better take this out and take a look at it, and if we're going to replace it, it's got to come out anyway. So I took it out, pulled the wires off the back and the like. This has the original needle back on it, so this is original way it was. The spare needle, I put it back in my collection of needles. We'll dig it out in a bit. What I'm thinking is, what I could hear when we were playing this was it was a bit of fuzzy, buzzy sound in the higher frequencies. And that's because the cartridge itself has failed inside somehow. I mean, I don't know, the ceramic is cracked. I have no idea what could have gone on inside here. Taking this apart, it's really, I mean, these are not meant to be disassembled. There's rivets holding it together, a little rivet there where my thumbnail is. Yeah, this is not coming apart. If it comes apart, it's never going back together, that's for sure. So we can tear it apart to see what's inside of it, but there's no advantage to that. What I'm thinking is I popped the new needle on. I had a little bit of trouble getting it to line up properly with the, I forgot the name of the rubbery structure that goes between the needle and the actual ceramic piece inside. A support of a sort. And maybe I didn't fit it on there quite right. So maybe, literally, the needle has these grippy parts, little tiny grippy wings right in here, which are supposed to grab that rubber piece. So let's say that's the rubber piece, and you put the needle on, the needle's out here, and this grippy piece goes on like that. But maybe when I put the new needle on, it went on like that. And maybe this is what was happening. The needle was rattling because it wasn't held tight. That's my theory, that's my hope, because when I looked for a replacement for this, and pretty sure I know what I'm doing, I could not find an exact replacement for this. There may not be such a one. The replacements that were being offered were dramatically different. They were flip needle type, nothing protruding out the front here, totally different. And this bracket, there's no opportunity to screw it's very unstandard, let's put it that way. This is very specific to this tone arm and this kind of cartridge with this front attachment. There's no bracket. So couldn't find a replacement, and I started thinking, well, maybe there's something more I can do with this, and that came up with the, let's look at it excuse me, under the microscope and just see how this piece fits. I've never examined one of these that closely, so why not? So we're going to start with both its needles on. We'll look at each side. That's the 78 and the other one, and we'll see, and then I'll put the alternate needle on, and we'll take a look at how it fits when I just throw it on there. And then if I can fit it very carefully and it looks like some difference has occurred, or maybe my theory is true, then I'll reinstall this back into the tone arm. We'll give it another go on the record. That's the situation. Very good. Okay, I think my coffee pot should be full now, so I'm going to get my coffee and then we're going to start on this. A little bit disappointing for me. I went upstairs and I hadn't turned the coffee pot on. So now the coffee pot is on and I'm back down here. Let's lower the stage here if we can. That's if I remember how to do it. There we go. So we'll take a look at how the original needles are connecting here, and here I'm going to flip to the microscope here. What did we get there? I think I dropped the stage too low here. Let me crank it up. What is that? Just bear with me a minute. Here we are. Okay, so this is the wing part right here, and to the right is the needle, and this which one's this? Offhand, I don't know if this is the 78 or the 33 side. So right away I see this needle is not tight down on that material, the rubber part. Wish I could think of the proper name for it. Now this is not going to go well. I'm going to try to push the needle around a little bit relative to that thing. So the question is, does a needle move relative to the... Yes, it does. Yes. Did you see that? Now this could be the needle I put back on, and I just stuck it on, and I didn't do what I'm doing right now. So looseness is possible. It's not quite the looseness I was thinking of. I was thinking of a lateral looseness, not an up and down one. But either way. Look at how close the needle is to the rubber part here, up at the front. We're almost ready to interfere. Okay, I'm going to flip it over now, and we'll look at the other side. Again, I don't know which needle I'm looking at, because I'm not smart enough to figure that stuff out. Here we are. There's the wing. Let me try and focus here. Probably have too much. Now this one looks like it's quite tight. Let's go towards the needle. Look at the amount of junk built up all around you. You can't even tell the needle from the rubber piece. Look at the needle on this. What needle? There's no needle there. This is probably the side I was replacing. You know what? It's not easy to tell which side is which. Maybe by the... Okay, so these are the original needles. All I gotta do is just read the... Oh yeah, it's a little bit close, isn't it? Can I read something here? This is the 250. Okay, and the other side. The other side is a 0.75. So this, or 0.75. This side we're looking at now is the needle I took off and put on. Why is the needle so dark? Well, this is fairly tightly fit on here. That's what it looks like. Okay. So not the really expected results. The 78 needle appears to be loose, and the one I took off and put on appears to be on snugly. Now I'm going to switch this needle. This need to be easy to get off. Switch the needle here. Yeah, that's the original one. I remember it has a small stain spot on it. put in there. I'm not going to see anything like that. But just a quick look at this needle. First, the dimensions of it, and then the number that's written on it. It'd be easier I just grab my magnifier. 250. This is the big one. It's not the one I put on it. Oh, I can't do this. I'm just holding it in the air here. Oh yeah, there we are. Nice looking needle on that one, but that's not the right. That's the 250, the big guy. I thought I had a smaller one. Let's try this one here. I'm just going to look with my magnifier here to see the. This one's SA100. So this is the one we want to try putting on. Let's see if we can get a look at the needle here. And I'm just holding it in my hand here, so this is not the best way to do this. There we are. Lots of needle there. Oh, the end of it, yeah, that's right, the end looks flat. Let's look at it more closely. Okay. So, and when you look at the cone there, you can see, towards the cantilever arm, the material is a lighter color, and then it becomes darker, a bit of a funny angle, and then you get right to the very end, and it looks flat on the end. So, you're not going to break a diamond. I don't believe so. So either that whole piece is a diamond with the tip worn off, or the very tip is the diamond and it's gone. Don't I have another one of these? I thought I had another one. I do have another one. Only it's black. Okay, let's take a look at it again. It's this way. It's right beside it. Yeah, that's the wrong color. That's a sapphire or something like that. That's a soft. That's really meant for 78. So no doubt about it. What does it say on the size thing? Doesn't say anything on here. It just has a funny symbol. I have one more of these. This one's red colored. Just looking at it with my eye, it looks like the needle's missing. Yeah, that's not looking very good. Now a lot of that could be dirt built up around it. If I cleaned it away, it might look actually quite normal, but I'm not going to bother, I don't think. What does it say here? Can't read it under there. I'll look with my magnifier here. We'll see. It's the same as the, it just has a symbol on it. It looks like the aesthetic symbol, in fact. Aesthetic being a manufacturer. Well, we're stuck with this one. It's the only one I've got. We'll try that one again. So what I want to do is not have you looking at a piece of green tape, but I'm going to grab this one. We're going to pop it on. Now it's a little off center, so let's just take a look at the situation with it right the way it is. Okay, let's see what we got here. So I can tell from looking at this in the bottom right corner, I can see that the wing, the grippy part, the wings, is not gripping it, it's sitting on top. This could have been the case when I tested it. It could have just been sitting on top like that. Where to go? So I am going to move it into place here. Doing it with a microscope's a little tough. I think it just popped in. I think I heard it. But what are we looking at exactly? That looks nice on that side. We'll go to the other side. What does the other side look like? We'll look for a gap now between that looks really good. No gap. So can you get any better? I don't think so. I think that's right on the money there. Okay, now I'm going to have the unpleasurable experience of trying to reinstall this guy back into the toner. So I'm looking forward to that. The challenge is getting these wires on, getting them on the right order. 4 pins. Oh, they've colored them. So there is a standard color code that I think all the record player manufacturers followed, specifically to facilitate this horrendous situation. So I bet you if you go back early enough in history, I'm going to guess late 30s, there was such a schmozzle of record players and wiring and all this kind of stuff. Somebody came up with an industry standard, and you're looking at it. Red, black, yellow, and blue. And that'll be the kind of wires that are up there. So, okay, I can go by that. I'm sure it'll be correct. But the main thing is my coffee pot's probably full of coffee now, so I'm going to go and get some of that. This is really the first time I've taken one of these apart to this degree, and yeah, putting it back together, very challenging. Look at that little tiny screw. It's got to go in the back of this, and it's got to engage. I don't know if you're going to see this or not. That little tiny hole in the center shaft. It's a little hard to see in the camera. Yeah, it's not going to focus. And because of the spring loading, this part is interfering. So how do you do this? So first I got to figure out which is which. So that's the old, that's the new 33. So we would want this to say, believe it or not, 78 when it's like that. And you would flip it around so the needle's down, and you'd see 33.45. So that's got to be the right angle. Well, what did I do with the screwdriver? Didn't think this through. Don't have a screwdriver handy. Don't drop the screw, Jim. Oh my gosh. Handy, isn't it? Oh, for crying out loud. That was my favorite phrase of my parents. For crying out loud. Usually followed by, Jim, why did you do that? That's not really true. I think I got it. about doing this, this is maybe not the smartest thing to do here. Because the reason I took this off was to get at this nut. So I'm going to try and we got this right. Let's see. Okay, so if the 3345 were showing, then the needle I put on would be down. That's it. That's perfect. Now this plate, I'm pretty sure it goes on this side. Next question would be, should you put these wires on beforehand or after? I think beforehand, because I can do a lot of maneuvering. Okay, now putting those wires on. Nothing easy about this either. So what we'll do is we'll try to do the black one first, or blue. Well, that's black. So there should be a blue wire and a black wire. This is a black wire here. Grab the cartridge by the sides and not by the needles. On you go. So this is usually the point where the wire breaks. Oh, they've done something interesting here. Okay, so the red one wants to go on next. Okay. One thing about taking these off and putting them on is that you're bound to get a better connection, I think. Don't break it, don't break it, don't break it. He does it. Okay, yellow one up here. This is going really well. No, let's do this one next. Careful while you're holding it. And then the last one. Well, that was actually really, that went on a little loose. That was far easier than it could have been. Okay, again, we're going to put this up like this. We're going to put the metal plate in the front. So tough to go in. There we go. Got it in. Okay. Now I have to tighten this up, and I have a hard time undoing it. I'm sure I can get it, snug easily, but getting it tight, I don't know. This is not the right pliers at all to use for this. So I think I have to take this back off. I have to take it out. I'm going to back this off a little more. Okay, where here we are. I have to keep telling myself, calm down, calm down. Remain calm. Okay. Try putting this back in. The lower plate has to go below. Okay, I think I'm getting it this time. What's with that plate? It's just watching a video. There we go. Perfect. Went in. Perfect. Watching a video on the storms in China. 250 kilometer-an-hour winds through big cities. I've never seen anything like it. The videos are just so frightening. I think, wow. Okay, first of all, I can tighten it up with this little. This pair of pliers I'm using is really only intended for picking things up, and it's not really intended for doing any work. But while this is loose, I can tighten it up. Is there any chance I've got this wrong? Oh yeah. Sure, lots of chances. I won't find out till I go to put the okay, can't tighten it any more of that. Now my strong pliers may not fit down in here. Well, yes they do, as long as I'm careful. Easy to break things at this point. So I have to squeeze the pliers very hard. When I do that, I lose the sensation of what's going on here. So I could be jamming the pliers into the plastic here without knowing it while I'm trying to crank the thing down. This is where things get broken. Just about any time you're applying a lot of energy in any form. Well, I don't know. Seems to be in there. I don't think I got it all the way in. Hey, look at this. It's still a little bit loose. But that's probably good enough right there. Okay, can we get this thing on? Oh my gosh, I don't know. This is another. So I have to pull the cartridge forward to make this center post come out and reveal the screw hole. Oh boy. Maybe I can wedge something back here to hold it forward. And just hold it, just jam it. Jam it like that. Where's the hole? So the hole matches. Oh, I'm going to lose the screw here. Get the screw out of there. So we have the sideways. So this is either up. It's going to be down. It's got to be down. And there's no way you can do this with it down. You got to have it needle showing. Okay, this is the 78 needle, isn't it? I believe so. So I push this way forward and jam it. There's the little hole. Oh boy, how am I going to get the screw into that correctly? There's a reason why I don't actually like working on record players. This is one of them right here. Are you going to go? Oh my gosh, it's going right in. Can you believe it? Did I get it right? I think I have it upside down. So it's telling you the 33 and 45 is showing, but it's actually correct. It's correct. I got it correct. Fantastic. I don't know how I did that, but I did. I don't think I tightened this screw up all the way. Wow, I did not. Okay, that's tight enough. Oh my gosh, it's in there. Wow. Okay. Yes, I'm usually quite anxious when I start something like this. I know there's a million things that can go wrong, and the situation can get just worse and worse and worse with the wires breaking, the little clips on the end can break off the wires, and then you got to strip the wire, and it's all. I got away with it. Lucky me. Well, we don't know what we got away with. I got away with nothing. Okay, so I'm going to take a little break, and then we're going to play a record and listen to this thing and cross my fingers. I'm crossing both of them, 4 of them, I guess, that somehow the needle is on better and it won't be distorted. That would be a great result. Coffee first, though. Okay, the moment has come. Let me turn up the volumes here and see what we hear. Kind of hummy. Well, could be I have the volume up quite high, so maybe that's really what. Won't worry about that little hum. Okay, I think we're all set. Power is switched on. I almost don't want to do this because my expectation is it's not going to sound any different. Here we go. Oh, this time it knows it's a 12. Oop, volume, volume. Let's let it finish off on its own here. Just going to let it do its auto operation here. Make sure that that actually functions properly. Once the velocity increases, the trigger should go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. can see how the noise in the record player is transmitted right up. Phooey. It's just so close. So close. I'm not quite there. Okay, so my reckoning of the quality of the sound here is that I would gauge it as crappy. That's where I would put that. Out here on this part of the record, it didn't sound so bad, maybe even tolerable, but that last part, the distortion was really heavy. And I think it has to do with the particular sound they're playing, what the band is doing, what is being demanded of the needle and the cartridge at the time. So something else too is that the speed of the record is much different between the outside and the inside. The grooves out here are passing the needle at a much higher rate than they are inside here. Now, if that has some bearing on the degree of distortion, I doubt it. Let me just move this over here. We're going to do a little experiment here, and as best I can. I'm going to want to turn this on just manually. Can we do that? Can we just turn it on without triggering? Which way's on? Oh, I think I probably triggered it. No, I did not. Good. So if you move this lever a little bit, if you can do it, then you get the record player playing manually. It'll still pick up at the end if it's going to do it, but it just won't lay down. I want to do this. So I'm feeling how heavy this is. This feels quite appropriate for the kind of cartridge that's in it, but I'm going to experiment with adding more weight. So we're going to play a song here. Let's play one we didn't hear.
You gotta move quick, there's a lot of decline. And they try to make me fit the mold. Can't they see that it's not really me? Now I work in the factory from 9 to 5. It's bad.
I put it where the distortion was more noticeable in the last song here.
How many cups can you make? What if you die in race? You see the clothes up in our face. We pride ourselves with knowledge. It's got us where we are. But really we know nothing. How can we let it get this far?
My computer just went. Some weird stuff happens sometimes when switches are opening or closing in my shop. This was a motor switch opening. There's going to be a bit of a strange voltage effect when you open up a switch on an inductor, and I wonder why did my computer go do-do-do right at that moment? Didn't put up a warning or anything. It's a mystery. My camera's working. Sometimes the cameras go dead. Oh, that camera's working. I don't know. Okay, just write it off. Another mystery here in the shop. Well, the result of my experimenting here is that we're not going to get anywhere with the situation as it is. Now, it could be that the needle I've put on there is not sharp enough. Either it's the wrong size to begin with, or it's worn out a bit, and it's not pointed enough to go deep enough in the grooves to escape the wear and tear on this record that's going to be apparent near the surface. Now, this record's hardly ever been played, so there is no wear and tear on this record. The record should be in very good shape. So any distortion we're hearing really has to be coming either from this problem of the needle not riding deep enough in the groove, which would be solved by a new proper needle, or the cartridge itself is making the distortions that we're hearing, and I think that's far more likely the case. Solving problems inside the cartridge, I don't think there are any solutions. I don't know of any. The only solution I know of is get a new one. So that's where this stands. I've done my best to try to make this guy livable. I mean, if you're going to play a record once a month and say, hey buddy, come hear my really cool old record player, watch this, see the arm go, look at that's really cool stuff, but not actually sit and listen to the record, this would probably be just fine. This would be just fine. But if you're going to actually play records and listen to them as an entertainment, and then I think the level of distortion here is too much. It's too much for me. I wouldn't like it. And also, as I said before, I wouldn't want to play... If I were really into playing records, this is not the record player for it. You don't want a rim drive record player if you're serious into playing records. You want a record player that's either belt drive or direct drive. The platter is part of the motor. And you'd want, most importantly, a balanced tone arm with a weight, adjustable weight off the back, which works like this. This one adjusts the tracking force with a spring. That works, but it's very crude, and by the way, the tracking force varies as you lower the arm. So if you were to attempt to measure the tracking force, let's do that. Let's measure the tracking force on this. Good idea. I got the thing right here in my newly reorganized shelving. I know where it is. I can't get it. Yes, I got it. So this is a gauge made specifically for doing this test. Notice how thin this is. So we're going to take the record off because we want this to be, we want the measurement to be made at the same height the needle normally runs at. And that's why this is so thin here. So we need to turn this on. What do you expect? What should it be? I'm going to have to look it up actually. So we're going to put the needle right in the middle. Full. What's it mean by full? Full? I've never seen that before. How's that happen? Full. Or does that fail? That's full. It says full. What do you mean full? Grams. That's to zero it. I still have it. Full. You're full of crap is what you're full of. For crying out loud. Is that right? I have another scale, but it's not really made for this purpose. But let's see. I think this is probably made for cocaine dealers or something like that. I stopped dealing cocaine years ago, so. Now see, this one is not thin, so it's up quite high, and that in itself would give you a false reading. Especially with the spring loaded. With the balance type, maybe not so much, but with the spring is, you know, the spring is sprung. We're in grams. Here we go. 11 grams. That's heavy. That's heavy. So I'm adding more. In case you didn't realize what I was doing, I was carefully adding various weights with the screwdriver when I was sliding it back and forth. Let's just see how much weight I put on this thing, because it must be something ridiculous here that I was doing. So starting back here, so you see I was adding 4 grams, and then as I come forward, get more and more and more. Oh my God, this is what, what is that, 30 grams? Yeah, you know, maybe if this was a 1929-78 player, maybe that would be correct. The correct weight for these is probably around 5, not 11. Could it be too heavy? Could it be too heavy? And that's where the distortion's coming from. Gee, I doubt that an awful lot. When I was adding the weight, especially at the end of the record, what I noticed was a slight reduction in the noise level and a slight increase in the bass and a loss of treble. That's kind of what it sounded like to me. It sounded like a muffling was taking place. That's what it sounded like to me. 11. Wow, I wonder if there's any information on what... Well, I'm going to look up and see what the typical tracking force is for something like this, but it's certainly not going to be 11, is it? I'm going to look. Okay, come along for the ride. Rather than go hunting all over the internet, I'm going to use Bing's Copilot here. What is the correct tracking force for a vintage ceramic cartridge with a spring-loaded tone arm? Okay, what do you say? Let's see what it says. The correct, here we are, just let it, 4 to 6 grams, you can already see it's there. That's kind of what I thought. Let's read it. The correct tracking force for a vintage ceramic cartridge with a spring-loaded toner arm typically ranges between 4 to 6 grams. However, the exact force can vary depending upon the specific cartridge model and manufacturer's recommendations. It's always a good idea to consult the cartridge's manual or any available documentation for precise settings. If you don't have the manual, you can start with a mid-range setting around 5 grams and adjust as needed based on the sound quality and tracking performance. When he says tracking performance, they're referring to is it skipping across the record. Ensuring the tone arm is properly balanced, there is no balance, and the anti-skate is set correctly, there is no anti-skate in this record player, will also help achieve the best results. Do you have a specific model in mind? Yeah, I do. This thing always tries to get into a conversation with you. Specific model in mind. I'll say yes. The model is a Telefunken. Did I spell it right? Telefunken? No, I did not. Thought I missed the L. Telefunken TW501 record changer. So there you go. Now it may not respond. Oh, here we go. For the Telefunken, look at that, record changer. Recommended tracking force for a ceramic cartridge is tipping around 5 to 6 grams. So we're only twice what it should be. This range ensures optimal performance and minimizes wear on both records and the stylus. Given your interest in vintage electronics, you might already have a stylus force gauge. But if not, it's a handy tool to ensure precise tracking force settings. Also, make sure the tone arm is balanced correctly before setting the tracking force. If you need any further assistance with your setup, or have other vintage gear questions, feel free to ask. This is fantastic. You know, I have gotten into conversations with the Copilot here on technical issues, and I found it fantastic. It's like having your own personal expert in anything and everything. Ask them any questions. Just be very specific. Try to narrow it down as much as possible and point to kind of what you want to find out. 5 to 6 grams. Well, let's set it to 5 to 6 grams and see what happens. One way the tracking force would get way off, and I'm not saying this is what's happened here, is the cartridge has been replaced with a much heavier cartridge. And the tracking force spring was not adjusted. Because, you know, back in the day, who had one of these things? So, you know, the guy would be doing what I did earlier. I went, yeah, it seems all right to me. But according to this, it's way too high. Let's repeat this measurement here and just be sure about it. Full. I guess this thing was limited to 10 grams or something. I guess what they're saying is, man, if you go beyond 10 grams, you're crazy. It's not a turntable. It's a lathe. That's what it is. This thing is a lathe. Okay, so we have to adjust the spring here. The adjustment can be done in a number of different ways. Sometimes there's a screw. Often there's just a series of settings and you move it along those settings. I don't see anything in here to adjust it. Really? I don't see a thing. Well, that's a problem. Okay, let's look at it a little closer with the other camera, because maybe I'm just not seeing something that's there to be seen. What is there to be seen? Start with this end. So there is an adjustment there. Oh, come on, camera, will you please? Just, you never can make up your mind on the focus, so I got to do it for you. Crazy camera. Certain images in front of this camera, and it cannot settle down the focus. It has now, but it settled it incorrectly. So let me take over here and just do it manually. Watch a lot of my videos. You've seen me do this so many times. You're upset at me. We'll get it a little closer. Okay, let's use that. So that is the adjustment. It's raising and lowering the spring. Is it raising and lowering the spring? Yeah. Now, if I tip this down, you see it. It's not. Oh, look at that! It can turn. But how much change can that make? Look, I guess I think it's at the bottom, which would maybe be the least amount of pull. Because I'm pretty sure as you lift this up, you stretch it more and more and more. But not much. Here's the pivot. This part of the spring is held right near the pivot point. So, how much change is there doing this? Maybe that's part of the secret of not having it so sensitive. One of the issues with these record players, if you stack 6 records on here, that's an inch of records or a half inch of records, and they fall on the platter. Now your needle is running not down there, but up here on top of a whole bunch of records. I would never recommend having that many records. And nobody does this anymore. Nobody ever did it, actually. I don't remember anybody stacking records. I think we played them always one at a time. Now what about this hand? Well, that looks like there's just nothing there whatsoever to adjust. So this is a very, very fine adjustment, and it's at one limit. How do you get in there and adjust it? Let me steady this up here. So if you turn that screw, that thing, which is not at the bottom, it's part way. It's been adjusted, I guess. If you turn that screw, that's pretty hard to get at. How do you even get at that? You kind of come around the back here. Oh, it's me. Come up and what am I looking at? That looks like a little fun screw thing there, doesn't it? Look like you would reach in and grab that. Is that the bottom of the screw? I think it is. I think it's made to reach around and stick your thumb there. It's got to be that. There's nothing else possible. Okay, so we can turn that by hand, and then I can watch the measurement change, the weight measurement or the tracking force measurement, which is really what we want to call it. Okay, great. Figured all that out. Let's put this guy here. Let's spin this around. And, oh yeah, sure. Just reach under there. Okay. I can't imagine there's going to be enough there to correct this to the right weight. Don't put it on there. Turn this on first. Too bad it's going to be upside down. You can't even see it. I can see the numbers though. Full. So we want to turn this to the spring is pulling this up. So we would want this to be, I don't know. We're going to move it though. I can't do it with it up. Do it like that. It's going down. We'll take it down, down, down. It's at the bottom. Okay, can't go any further. What do we get on here? Full. Okay, still full. So we're going to go the other way now. Go all the way to the top. I can feel it getting heavier, I think. I don't know. Let's measure. Oh no, it's much lighter. Oh, it's it's not making it to the scale. It's not. Okay, so okay, great. It's not even making it to the scale. Okay, that's good. All the way from 0 to 11 here. Now we're gonna give it a little bit of weight. And the measurement is 5. I got it right on the money. Okay, 4.93. Now let's just whip this around a little bit. Make sure everything is settled in. And put it back on. I think we're still listening to this record player. Yeah. 4.49, 4.5. So this is on the light side now of things. 4.7. 4.2. How come so different? 4.5. 4. .6 here. 4.7 there. Oops. 5, right on the money in the middle. Well, okay, it did say 5. Now it's 4.95. Good. Okay, so we have what would be, according to the wise man in my computer, the correct, I can't turn this off. Turn off. Okay, just leave it. Let's try a record. Let's try the record again. Take that out of the way. It's interesting. My thing down here is a flashing 5. Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, that's tricky to see. Don't know why. Who knows? 5, 5. 5 it is. Okay, once again, volume, I just left the volume where it was all the whole time, so power's on. Here we go. I'll be amazed. If this is not distorted, I will be amazed. I don't either. So did I drop the record? I did drop the record, but somehow it didn't detect the 12-inch. It came into, so it's inconsistent with this 12-inch thing. Distortion, no matter what. There's no solving it. With that light setting, the record players become very skippy. Any slight little tap, it's going to skip. One of the problems with record players back in the day, and if you're my age, you probably experienced this. You have a bunch of friends come over, playing a song. People are jumping around in your house or your apartment, and the floor is going up and down if you're not in a concrete apartment. And that up and down is being transmitted to the record player, and the needle starts skipping. It'll start skipping just from people jumping around in that. Tracking force is a bizarre issue where this needle, as it goes around the record, it describes a semicircle. It doesn't go straight across. You cannot make it be at perfect right angles to the groove all the way across. So they make a compromise based on the length of the tone arm. Incidentally, the longer the tone arm, the straighter the travel across the record. But in this case, it's going to sweep a bit of a curve. And part of the time, the needle is going to be beyond the straight line part. And this means it's actually over. Now, if you think about it, what would happen if the needle were over here? Clearly, there would be a force driving it this way. The record would try to drive it this way. It would be dragged this way. Well, that force exists even in this little curve, but it's very, very minor force trying to drag the needle inwards. I think it's inwards, yeah, inwards. So to compensate, a small force is applied to the tone arm to pull it back out. And then in the end you have zero net force. And this is done with springs, it's done with weights and other different ways to create a tracking force effect that matches, or anti-effect, I guess anti-tracking force, and anti-skate is what they call it, anti-skate. So the idea is that the needle is somehow riding too hard on one side of the groove because of this pulling force, and this causes distortion, I guess. It also makes it very likely to skip inward. If you bang it, it'll skip inward. It won't skip outward because of this force. But these guys, they don't care about it. They have enough weight. The cartridge needs the weight and is strong enough to support the weight that the needle is driven down into the groove quite securely. It's supposed to be securely. But you can see when I set this to 5 grams, there's nothing secure. And now if I were to do this, I'd say, you know what, that's too light for a ceramic cartridge. That's what I would say about it. Well, I've done everything I can to try to salvage the operation of this record player without investing in it, but I really think a new cartridge is needed. I guess we could start with a new needle and see, like a proper sharp needle, a proper size needle, and see if that cleans it up. I don't think so. I think cartridge, and you know, if your plan is to listen to a lot of records, then probably this cartridge's frequency response is probably down from what it was originally, and it's probably not particularly good right from the start. I don't know that for sure, but a new cartridge fitted in here would probably produce a much better sound anyway. So if the and then we've seen how precise you can adjust the balance or the tracking force on this record player. Is actually quite precise. So you could put a fairly sensitive cartridge on here. Still has to be ceramic. It has to be ceramic to produce enough voltage. These guys, ceramic cartridges, produce a half a volt, something like that, like a lot. And so the amplifier doesn't need to be strong. At least the front end doesn't need to be strong. It's getting a strong signal. You put a more expensive cartridge in here, a different type called a magnetic or moving coil. There's all other types that are not ceramic. And these things are far more delicate. They track with less and less force, like 2 and 3 grams, and even 1.5 grams, stuff like that. And they will produce a far better sound, bigger high, like higher highs and lower lows than the ceramic cartridge in here. So I think the guy needs a new cartridge. I don't think I can get around it. And as I say, my hunt for a new one didn't go well. Okay, I think that's it for today. Unfortunately, we didn't escape the distortion problem. I had the receiver to look at. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. It may come in here on my bench. It may not come in on my bench. I don't know. I have to go listen to it for a while and make a decision about that. So thanks a lot for watching to this point. One way or another, something else will be on here tomorrow, I think. See ya.